Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here and welcome to another episode of Jambareeqi Cinema, the podcast series where I review films that have hit theatres. In this episode I'll be discussing Pokemon Detective Pikachu, based on the video game Detective Pikachu. When Tim Goodman learns that his father, a detective, has died, he goes to his dad's home in Rhyme City to make his goodbyes, but he ends up meeting his father's Pokemon partner, a talking Pikachu that only he can understand, voiced by Ryan Reynolds. This Pikachu believes that Tim's dad is still alive, and Tim reluctantly agrees to investigate the truth, with some help from an amateur reporter called Lucy Stevens. Now, I am a fan of Pokemon. I'm not a hardcore fan, but I'm also not a casual fan. I'm kind of in the middle. Most adaptations of video games, manga and anime by Hollywood have a history of screwing up, by changing so much that the film no longer resembles what it's based on. But what I loved about Detective Pikachu is that you can tell that everyone who worked on it wanted to do Pokemon justice. There's no extreme changes. You can really tell that the filmmakers were passionate about being faithful. They clearly read Pokédex details and educated themselves on the franchise. Even the older actors like Bill Nighy and Ken Watanabe are treating the script with dignity, not once looking embarrassed to be in the film, pronouncing Pokemon names right and delivering their lines with genuine authenticity and dramatic integrity. There's a wide variety of Pokemon on screen too, from many different generations, so you're bound to see at least one of your favourites. I particularly enjoyed seeing a bunch of Loudres being beatboxers for a DJ in one scene. That was sick. Now, you don't have to be a Pokemon fan in order to understand or follow this film. It does a decent job helping mainstream audiences know everything they need to be aware of. Also, I've not played the Detective Pikachu video game, and despite that, I managed to follow everything that was happening. Saying that though, Pokemon fans will enjoy themselves 10 times more than casual viewers, mainly because they've had 2 decades to become emotionally attached to this world and its creatures. When a non-fan sees a Pokemon pop up on screen in this film, it's just another monster to them, but fans of Pokemon will see so much more. I don't think that this is entirely the film's fault, as it does do its best to welcome newcomers, far more so than most other Pokemon movies. It's just the inevitable result of turning such a mammoth-sized and long-running media legacy like Pokemon into a feature film. In terms of story, Detective Pikachu plays things very safely by following the usual beats of a buddy cop movie, pairing a smart-mouth wisecracker with a serious straight man haunted by a personal guilt. All the cliches are here, interrogating an informant with the good cop, bad cop strategy, a love interest with connections to a suspect helping out, and the partners going their separate ways near the finale. You know what to expect just from those examples. The film doesn't often satirize or spoof these cliches with any kind of self-awareness, mainly playing them straight or latching onto the one joke that they're being done with Pokemon. Not to mention, despite being called Detective Pikachu, Pikachu doesn't really get to be a detective much. I think he only plays detective once or twice. Most of the clues are handed to him through holographic exposition dumping or other characters' investigative work. Yes, it's explained later why some clues are being laid out for him and Tim, but it's just disappointing seeing that Pikachu being a detective isn't the main focus here, even though it's in the title. We mainly see him making wisecracks, fighting, translating, or running away from danger. There's very little clue tracking on his part. The overall mystery is very strange, getting weirder and weirder as the film goes along, really paying off in the finale when everything is revealed and we're stunned by the villain's batshit crazy scheme. There's twists and turns that you don't see coming, yet still kind of make sense. The actual villain behind everything plays things cool, but still seems a bit shady, keeping audiences guessing. Although the villain's overall method of getting what they want seems a bit convoluted, as their plan depends a lot on coincidences and things outside of the villain's power, making me question how much they actually planned out and what the contingency was if these events never happened. The movie does also attempt to throw us off with a really obvious red herring, trying way too hard to trick us into thinking that they are the antagonist by exaggerating his rude meanness around others and having his actor play him like Jim Carrey's the Riddler. This isn't clever misleading, it's just silly and on the nose. But even though the narrative is very run-of-the-mill and the mystery aspect is lacking in places, what holds this film together is Detective Pikachu himself. His running commentary is frequent but always always funny, and Ryan Reynolds completely sells every one-liner or joke with his trademark cheeky delivery, channeling elements of Deadpool into the role. It's Pikachu's comedy and natural charm that makes us root for him. He's a smart mouth, but has a huge heart. There's a big twist at the end that does explain why he has Ryan Reynolds' voice. I won't spoil anything, but it's a surprise that makes the partnership deeper and emotionally richer than we first assumed. The action is another factor that makes the basicness of the story more fun, from the turbulent battles between Pokemon to scenes where our heroes have to escape dangerous threats. It's all high-octane stuff that's spiced up with big laughs thanks to Pikachu's snappy humour. Now, there's been some controversy surrounding the 3D CGI depictions of the Pokemon, and while I admit that some Pokemon like Mr. Mime step into the creepy Uncanny Valley territory, most of the Pokemon are actually very visually appealing to me. I think that the film found a fine line between being cartoony and realistic that works well. It could have been much worse. I mean, look at the recent Sonic the Hedgehog trailer. To conclude, Detective Pikachu follows a majority of the predictable staples of the buddy cop movie, with the only twist being that the partner is a Pikachu this time. But it's still a very fun movie thanks to the witty comedy, Ryan Reynolds reading for Pikachu, and the over-the-top weirdness of it all. It can be very cute, but it's not afraid to get surreal and dark too. While it isn't anything special as a detective movie, Pokemon fans will love the sincere passion behind how faithfully it adapts these monsters and their world into a movie, thus breaking Hollywood's terrible track record of poor live-action adaptations of Japanese media. So yeah, Pokemon fans will get a more rewarding and exciting experience than casual audiences, because they have more things to look forward to than non-fans, thanks to their nostalgic attachment. I mean, I do think that I mainly enjoyed this film because it made me feel like a kid again. But as a standalone movie, despite its cliches and faults, Detective Pikachu is still a good popcorn action fantasy comedy with a lot of heartfelt character drama that'll make you laugh and cry. It'll keep casual audiences reasonably entertained without too much confusion. Heck, out of all the Pokemon films I've seen, I think this is the one that's the most accessible to the mainstream. I've been Jambareeqi and I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, then feel free to subscribe, like, and share. Cheerio, folks.